Have you ever had one of those moments where you'd give anything, absolutely anything, just to feel something real? Not the filtered, curated, digital perfection I lived in, but something raw, something with stakes? I'm Callista, and I spent my whole life surrounded by bleeding-edge tech, courtesy of my father's empire. But all I ever wanted was an adventure that wasn't coded for me. My best friend Zoe always understood. She was the brilliant engineer who tolerated my wild ideas. Today's idea? Taking the Odyssey, our company's new experimental submersible, for an unauthorized deep-sea dive. Callista, the pressure sensors are still in beta, Zoe warned, her voice tight over the comms. If we go past the continental shelf, that's where the real world begins, Zoe. I grinned, pushing the throttle. No more simulations, just you, me, and the abyss. The abyss, it turned out, had other plans. It started with a tremor, then a sound like grinding metal. Red lights flooded the cockpit. Hull integrity failing, Zoe yelled. The last thing I saw before the world went black was her terrified face reaching for me. I woke up coughing, salt water stinging my lungs. Sand, not metal, was beneath me. I was on a beach, but the sand, it glowed with a soft azure light. Above me, a jungle canopy pulsed with neon greens and deep purples, like a forest painted with bioluminescence. The air was warm and hummed with a strange energy. Zoe! Zoe, can you hear me? My voice was swallowed by the alien jungle. I was alone. I pushed into the glowing flora, my heart hammering. I had to find her. I had to find a way home. That's when I saw him. He wasn't dressed for a shipwreck. He wore simple woven clothes, and his hands were stained with iridescent pollen. He was tending to a plant that looked like a spiral of pure light. He looked up, his eyes as green as the glowing moss. You are new, he stated, not asked. The island has brought you. Be careful. It feeds on desire, and it starves the unwary. He offered no name, no help, just that cryptic warning before melting back into the vibrant foliage. I stumbled on, desperate, until a sound cut through the humming. Singing, a voice so beautiful it ached. It led me to a waterfall cascading with liquid light. A woman, Lyra, sat on a rock, her hair the color of the glowing water. You seek your friend, she sang, her eyes closed. But the island seeks its heart. You hear the song, don't you? The heart calls to you. Before I could ask what she meant, she dove into the glowing pool and vanished. I was terrified. This place was messing with my mind. As dusk fell, the jungle's hum turned into a series of menacing clicks and whispers. Shadows began to detach themselves from the trees, forming into sleek, bestial shapes with glowing red eyes. They were hunting me. I ran, branches tearing at my clothes, the creatures snapping at my heels. I burst through the trees onto a cliff edge, trapped. Below, the glowing ocean churned. As the beasts lunged, a beam of intense white light cut through them, making them hiss and retreat. The light came from a tall, ancient-looking lighthouse. In its doorway stood a man, Kaelen. He was tall, dressed in dark, severe clothes, and held an old-fashioned lantern that pulsed with the same white light. His face was all sharp angles and shadows. The shadows of this place are hungry, he said, his voice a low rumble. You carry too much light. You should not be here. He didn't invite me in, but he didn't turn me away. He just watched me with unsettling, stormy gray eyes. He offered me shelter, but his protection felt like a cage. He spoke of a prophecy, of a starlight vessel, who would save the island from the shadows. He kept looking at me when he said it. I had to get away. I slipped out while he was tending the great lighthouse lens. I ran until I found what looked like a civilized building. It was a museum, but the exhibits were wrong. glowing plants, strange creatures, all preserved under glass. The curator, a man with unsettlingly precise movements and a chilling smile, introduced himself as Dr. Aris. "Ah, a new specimen, and such a rare one," he murmured, circling me. "You've interacted with the island's energy, haven't you? You're changing? You must be preserved. For study." A glass wall slid down, trapping me. As he prepared his instruments, a small girl, Pip, who I had seen cleaning the glass displays, suddenly released a lever. Alarms blared. The other exhibits, strange, twitching creatures, were freed. In the chaos, she unlocked my prison. "Go! The collector keeps everyone," she whispered, shoving me toward a maintenance tunnel. I burst out of the tunnel only to be met by a high-pitched whine. Drones. A dozen of them, sleek and black, swarmed toward me, led by a woman, Talia, who looked at me with cold, calculating rivalry. "You don't belong here, vessel. The island's power is for those who understand it, like me." The drones fired energy nets, but before they could hit, a man swung down from the canopy on a thick vine, a rugged survivalist named Jax. He moved with lightning speed, smashing the drones with a metal staff. "Tech geeks," he spat. "They never learn. The island provides all you need." He grabbed my arm. "Come on, if you want to live." He was all action and survival, a stark contrast to Kaelen's brooding silence. But then Kaelen himself appeared, his lantern glowing. "She stays with me. She is the key." "She's a person, not a prophecy lighthouse keeper," Jack shot back, pulling me behind him. "She needs to be taught to survive, not worshipped." They were arguing over me. Two sides of a coin I didn't understand. I couldn't trust either of them. I saw a narrow path leading into a dark cave, and while they postured, I ran. The cave was deep, lit only by glowing crystals. In the center sat a woman, Cassandra, her eyes closed. She didn't look up as I entered. "Two men fight for the shell, while the pearl slips away," she whispered. "You seek your other half, but you look for a boat when you should be looking for a voice. The island's highest point. That is where the signal is." A signal, a radio tower. It hit me like a jolt. She was right. I wasn't getting off this island by boat. I left the cave and scrambled up the island's central peak, and there it was, an old, decaying radio tower. And at its base, working frantically on the control panel, was Zoe. "Zoe!" I screamed, pulling her into a hug. "Callista!" Thank God, this place, it's not real. None of it. I've been trying to bypass the system to send a distress signal. Before I could ask what she meant, they all arrived. Silas emerged from the ground, Lyra from a nearby spring. Kaelen and Jax marched up the path, followed by Dr. Aris and Talia with her repaired drones. They formed a circle around us. "She belongs to the island," Silas stated. "She is the heart," Lyra sang. "She must be protected," Kaelen insisted. "She is the perfect specimen," Aris hissed. "She is the key." They all seemed to chant, reaching for me. As their hands closed in, the world fractured. My eyes snapped open. I was back in the Odyssey. The cockpit was dim, the alarm silent. I was strapped into my command chair. The main hatch hissed open, flooding the cabin with bright, sterile light. My father stood there, flanked by Zoe, who was wearing a crisp, white lab coat, a tablet in her hand. "Callista," my father said, his voice strained with relief. "Welcome back. The test was a complete success." I stared at him. "Test?" Zoe stepped forward, her expression professional but her eyes full of apology. "The accident was simulated, Callista. The deep sea dive was a cover. This was the first human trial of the Neural Link AR system. You've been unconscious for 3 days, fully immersed. The island, I whispered. The glowing plants? Kaelen, Jax. They weren't real? They were, Zoe said gently. In a way. Constructs based on the system's core archetypes. The prophecy, the shadows. It was all part of the narrative. We designed it to test a user's problem solving and psychological resilience under extreme stress. You did incredibly well. I looked down at my hands, half expecting to see the azure glow of the island's sand. My father was beaming, talking about revolutionizing entertainment, training, therapy, but all I could feel was the phantom terror of the shadow beasts, the cold weight of Kaelin's gaze, the desperation to find Zoe. It had felt more real than anything in my life. I'd finally had my adventure, and it was all just code.